So I never wore tennis shoes to work when I was in production side of it.
Oh,
so,
I bet.
But and now everything is straight from computer to film, where you don't have the flats and and now if you print off site, you just use the internet and it just goes straight to the production part where you're having it printed.
How exciting, Don.
It's neat. It's neat.
As you think about that, we had a guest recently who was talking about a blue, some kind of pen you could to make changes.
Yeah, you take your blue pen where it's non-photographic.
Right.
And so you need to change this, and then when you shoot that page, it wouldn't pick up that blue pen.
You wouldn't see the blue pen.
And then you've got the opaque markers where you take the negative and you have a little scratch on the negative. You take that opaque marker and mark through that scratch where it comes out white because everything's reversed. So
how exciting, Don, for you to see that transition from much of that only in the last 20 years or so.
Yeah.
To see that dramatic transition to everything now being, can you even imagine the day prior to all of this being sent by computers and uploaded to servers? And
take it on back, you had hot type, which was, very dangerous.
Yeah, what is that?
It's lead type where they would do their pages off that and instead of the offset press, which is done with plates. And you had hot type boxes where it go on the press and print the newspaper.
I can't.
And it's just, it's incredible. So
this is really fast forward when you think about for how many years they were doing it one way, and then in such a rapid pace.
Oh, it was quick.
That it has made a transition to everything being computer driven.
It is.
And so much, I guess, your columnists. I saw you've got a big editorial board there.
I do.
At the Florence News Journal. Share with viewers what prompted you to get an editorial board like that. I mean, it's is that novel, or is that something you've seen in other places?
I had tried that at a couple other places when I was publishing daily papers.
Right.
And I thought it would work better in a free publication because you get different parts of the community on your board, as where you get your churches, bankers, you get the media side like advertising agencies.
Yeah, I saw that.
School teachers, and get them on your board, and that way they know a lot of people in the community, and that way you can find some good stories and good success stories, and from these people on the board.
Yeah, yeah.
So I thought that was a really good idea, and I put them in all three papers.
Is that right? That's tremendous. So you've got different editorial boards in each of the three papers.
And let them be a part of the editorial content.
Right.
Or help us focus on the editorial content.
Sure.
Because they represent a lot of readers.
Sure. And if they're at one church, let's say a pastor, one church, he or she will still give you leads for good church stories in other communities, whether
success
it's
stories.
Someone in one ad agency, Woody Lynch, for instance, I saw was a name who may have been with you in the past. He would give you leads for other ad agencies or other marketing firms.
And Woody's been a vital part of our board. And
is that right?
Yeah, and he's a friend too. So, so that helps. But
you had a great, tremendous lineup editorial board there in the Florence News Journal. I saw that online. I didn't even see the other two, but that's great to know. Well, you've also got a great submission form online for folks to send in ideas for stories or otherwise.
And it's their paper, and we want their stories. We don't want to go out and make stories. I mean, we'll go out and find them, but we don't want to make them. But we want the community to be involved in the paper also.
Right, right. I think I saw you all also members of the South Carolina Press Association.
Yes, and they just started all that recently.
Which takes on a big responsibility for, actually above and beyond
for community
newspapers that are free in publication, oftentimes that have been driven just by paid publications, but now respecting that community newspapers that are free can also get equal treatment.
And what has happened was, you take your big newspaper companies, they have bought these community papers, and they want them to be part of the board. So that's basically how all this took place. And of course, I called the South Carolina Press Association, told them I wanted to be a member, and it's worked out good for them and for us because it gives the whole state more circulation in their newspapers.
Now, you had highlighted early in the interview, and if folks need to get off to work now or get family off to school, there is as you highlighted, that a true auditing, a circulation board that is brought on to make sure you all are doing what you claim to be doing. Not that you wouldn't be, but it is important to make sure that there are accurate figures, particularly on the behalf we've seen in large newspapers, some problems where folks have claimed one thing and it just wasn't happening that way.
Yeah, and I guess that happens, but I do it mainly for our advertisers,
right?
And I want them to understand that we are doing what we say, and I think the best policy is the honest policy. And if I got figures to back that, or an audit to back what we print, I feel very confident going in there and telling them this is what we do.
Oh yeah,
And here are the facts and figures.
Absolutely. Well, folks could see it online if they visit FlorenceNewsJournal.com, or of course each of these other two where they see the media kit. You've got a tremendous.
Well, thank you.
Of course, we're on a broadcast this morning, and you've got a great display of print versus broadcast, or print versus broadcast media, and there are some real benefits. What are some of the biggest benefits you see of a newspaper versus, let's say, a TV show or a radio station, for instance?
You could go back and look. I think I saw that in the paper.
Right.
And then you go back and look at the paper, and there it is.
Yeah.
It's physical. It's
right.
there.
You can cut it out.
And
mail it to people.
Right.
Right. And of course, the internet has taken it another level where
you
can go on there and look at stories or look at pictures. I think I saw you could buy some reprints, pictures reprinted and otherwise.
And I think the internet has hurt your paid circulation papers is the internet. That information's here. I mean, you can get it at any time.
Right.
And I think Yahoo, they post how long that headline's been there. 8 minutes, 10 minutes. So.
Oh Lord.
So and being a local paper, you can't do that online.
Right.
I mean,
right.
And that's our biggest niche in the community.
Right. Right. How exciting, Don. What are some of the big highlights? I think the News Journal has some pictures from past years, from many years ago. What are some of the other big, for viewers who may not have seen the News Journal before and would want to get a copy, as you said, outside of the city and outside of other areas there in Florence, they can subscribe to the paper or otherwise. But what are some of the big things they'd see in the paper if they were picking it up for the first time?
Well, we always like to do a profile on the front page. We call it Neighbors.
Neighbors, yeah.
And somebody, it's we
I
go
see
out
here. Last Wednesday, the 20th, it was Amber Creel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we like to know their hobbies and who influenced them the most, and,
right.
and their family and where they're from, and it's just being part of the community, and people love picking. Well, who is it this week? Oh, I know them. So.
And do you do that in each community, or just the?
We do it in all communities.
That's tremendous. Yeah.
And all communities, they're pretty small communities and close knit, and a lot of people know everybody. And they know what's going on, so they like to see their aunts and uncles.
Yeah, I love this idea of this Neighbors right here on the front page, and to have Amber here, who was born in Florence, resides in Coward. She's a cashier at Avalon's, and of course the who or what has most influenced you, which is a great thing. I know this is last Wednesday, and that's the great thing when we think about community newspapers. These sit in the home for many days oftentimes. They're really there. They have a much longer shelf life.
Correct.
That's the great thing, as opposed to we know, and I'm sure you're a subscriber to a daily newspaper, as are most of our viewers. They really have that just 30, 35 minutes possibly to spend, if that much. Wherein, obviously, a community newspaper, when we think about it as weekly, it is really around for the week.
You're exactly
and they're
right.
looking forward to that next week's paper, which is very exciting. That must be a great feeling for you, Don.
Well, I like it when they come up and say, "Put my picture in there this week."
Do you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
You take notes. How do you handle that?
And then I just say, "Fine, yeah, we'll do it.
Yeah.
We'll do it." And one of the biggest complaints that I get is, "I didn't get my paper today."
Oh wow! Yeah, you've heard that.
Oh, I hear it continuously. I didn't get my paper, and every Wednesday it rains, so my racks go down where I bulk drop, and the racks go down. But we make sure, and I call it right in, that they get their paper.
They get moving quick.
They get moving quick.
Sure.
So we've got one special person deliver those missed papers.
Is that right?
And it happens. But and I'm sorry, but it does happen.
How, and as you're traveling around, and obviously you've got a big carrier group that handles getting this out, Don. That's a big responsibility.
We're looking at about over 40,000 papers a week.
Is that right? Y'all are printing more than 40,000 papers a week for these 3 communities.
Correct.
That is tremendous. What a big responsibility to take on. Well, that must really cause you to have to, and of course your editorial staff is in there making sure everything's just right, that all the content is exactly what you want to have. Are you thinking about other communities, Don?
I am at one point in time.
Yeah.
And really would. And
your girls are a little bigger.
Well, my girls are bigger, and get them in school.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But it's this almost 2 years now, and I'm going to let the dust settle a little bit more, and then we'll look some more.
I like. Speaking of that question there, Don, what are your hobbies or special interests? I like these. The neighbor's question. Let's say you were profiled here. Of course, you're Don Swartz. Your family is there in Johnson City. You were born in Johnson City. You reside in Florence. Your occupation, you're the publisher. How about hobbies or special interests, Don? 2 girls.
Well, of course, the 2 girls, and
play
golf.
Right, you're a golfer. Good.
Play golf.
You find that is a good way to bond with advertisers, possibly, or just in the community?
Most people I play golf, they advertise, or they wouldn't get to play golf with me. I'm kidding.
Listen up.
I'm not going to win a bet anymore now.
No more betting. That's right. You've been knocked off. How about this last one? Who or what has most influenced you?
I like that question.
Yeah. Who or what has most influenced you? And of course, Amber Creelier said, my parents. They raised me right and taught me not to judge people.
I think that's a great question, and I think a lot of people love answering that and giving their parents or the Lord Christ credit, and you see that a lot, and I really like that, and I like being part of the Christian community, which our paper is, and I really like that, and that's part of the news journal and all 3 properties.
You have a pastor on each of the editorial boards.
I sure do.
Right. Yes. That's very important. And of course, oftentimes, folks, the great thing about that is it's not denomination driven. Obviously, it's driven by the idea of having somebody from a church or another place of worship, and the opportunity to really reach out that way.
And I think that perspective is very important to the community.
Okay, great. Don, thank you very much. We won't highlight all these questions with you, but we'll get you back another time.
Okay,
I'm sorry
great.
We've run out of time. Thanks so much.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Clearly, we've run out of time, but you can take the time to either go online or pick up a copy of the Florence News Journal, the Hartsville News Journal, or the Marion County News Journal. Don Swartz.